without further ado, Desiree, do your magic.
Thank you, honey.
Love you.
Love you. Love what you guys are doing here. Thank you guys for
Very
having
welcome.
me. This is a passion of mine. I'm a CBD educator. How I got into the CBD business is because of my little sister. So I'll tell you guys a little story. I might get a little emotional because this whole journey for me has been a family obligation. So last year, last January, right before we went to go on a family cruise. I don't do cruises, by the way. I'm just kind of like drop me in a city in Europe or drop me on an island and I'll explore. But we had just lost our parents within like 2 years of each other. And I was kind of freaking out. I'm the oldest sister. I'm type A control freak. And I said, okay, we have to get out of here. We need to do something for the holidays. And nobody in my family wanted to get on an airplane. So I said, well, what are we going to do? And they said, well, we'll go on a cruise. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to like the cruise. And they're like, no, you're going to totally hate it, but we're going to go. So we left on a cruise from New York City in the dead of winter. It was like 12 degrees when we left. It was 7 when we came back. Good times. And then when we arrived in like the crappiest part of Florida, which took 3 days, right before we got on the cruise, my little sister said, hey, I just want to let you know, I got some tests done. And I said, well, what kind of tests? And she said, you know, some biopsies, just like some biopsies. Like, what kind of biopsies? And she's telling me some of her symptoms. And my whole world again, the floor just fell from beneath me. And this is like 7 months after losing my mother. So type A control freak, I start going on Amazon before getting on the cruise, and I'm ordering all these cancer books without the diagnosis, but in my gut, I kind of knew that she was going to be diagnosed. So we go on this cruise. I start to have strange symptoms myself, but again, type A, older sister, I don't have time to be sick. I have to figure out how I'm going to help my sister. When we get back to New York, I find out she goes to see her doctor, and I was waiting and waiting and waiting, but didn't want to push. And you know, she asked me if I was home, and I knew. I said, okay, here it is. Put on a brave face. We're going to handle this. So Dorina had stage 1 breast cancer, but she had poorly differentiated cancerous cells, which many of you know. Cancer's acting erratically. She had the symptoms for well over a year, which I did not know. From everything from discharge, bleeding nipples, and she found a mass. But what happened was she didn't have insurance at the time. She also was in the mindset of, my mother's dead now, I don't have time to be sick. So she kept on ignoring it, until finally she went to the doctor, and then she received this diagnosis. They immediately said double mastectomy, bilateral, has to happen immediately. Dorina's also a fitness professional. She's 6th in the world. She does these Schwarzenegger competitions. She decided to do this for fun. So if you Google her later, you're like, that's what you do for fun? She does this gymnastics and all these really impressive routines. However, she had a competition coming up, and I was like, you're not doing the competition. She's like, yeah, I am. I was like, I'm going to kill you. You're not going to do the competition. She's like, yes, I am. 2 days before her competition, 2 days before her surgery, she did the competition. She placed 2nd. Arnold Schwarzenegger, 6th in the world, 2nd in her routine. Arnold Schwarzenegger's like taking a selfie with her, and then she goes in for her surgery. Prior to that, the community kind of came together because Dorina's a fitness professional. She's a picture of health. I'm a yogini. I'm also like a picture of health. I follow all the rules. I eat the right diet. I take the right supplements. So I was having all these strange symptoms, but again, I was kind of ignoring those as well. A friend of mine from California said, hey, Desiree, I want to give you something for your sister. I just saw that you guys are doing a GoFundMe. She's going to be out of work for over a year. And I said, well, what is it? She said, no, it's CBD. And this is my reaction. I said, listen, we're not from California. This is New York. We don't do that here. We don't have dispensaries at every corner. You're not going to mail me marijuana. Are you out of your mind? I don't want to get arrested. She was like, okay, you need to calm down. I'm not mailing you marijuana. I'm mailing you CBD. It comes from the hemp plant. And I was like, I don't think this is legal. And like, why? Why are you going to do that? And she said, well, my mother's friend started taking it for 2 months, and she had a cancerous tumor, and it annihilated it. I was like, no way, I don't believe that. You're out of your mind. And she goes, I want you to do the research, but I'm going to send you this pharmaceutical grade CBD. So she did, and I started to do lots and lots of research. And what I found, which I'm going to share with all of you, blew my mind. To the point where I was like, why doesn't the whole world know about this? So now what I am doing is I'm one person, but as much as I can do, I try to spread the knowledge that this person can tell this person, can tell this person. That's how it acts, or that's how it works. So essentially what happened, Dorina was on the CBD for 2 months. They go in for the surgery. Her doctor was like, okay, you're probably going to be a candidate for chemo and radiation. So I said, okay, we're going to prepare for that. You're also going to be a candidate for estrogen blockers, and it's probably going to be in your nodes because you've had these symptoms for a while, and it's very erratic. The cancer's acting erratically. She was on it for 2 months. He goes in. He gets the tumor. He said it shrank 75%. So it was at the end half the size of a sesame seed. No cancer in her nodes. Not a candidate for chemo or radiation. I was like, what? Not even a candidate for estrogen blockers. She checked all those boxes. I'm like, okay, this is what's going to happen. And I was preparing myself to be able to take care of her. He presented her at his conference because this was like a rare case, and they were like, I don't know what happened. She also presented to her doctor that she was going to be doing this. He was not an advocate for it. And we'll explain a little bit why doctors aren't, because this new system, which we're going to talk, the Endocannabinoid System, a lot of doctors don't know about it because it was just founded in the 1990s. So, Dorina is now cancer-free. Doing handstands and pull-ups, and also like, she posted a video, she's doing one-handed push-ups.
I gotta get back to competing, so.
Yeah, next slide. Okay, so we're going to talk about the history of hemp. This part is I think is really interesting. We're going to kind of blow through this, but I really want to talk about the science of that and how it's done wonders for Dorina. So hemp, the history of hemp is like the Declaration of Independence was written on hemp, the first American flag. Our founding fathers were hemp farmers. This just became politically motivated that hemp became illegal, and they categorized it as dangerous as heroin, which is insane. Hemp is a sustainable product. The reason why they did that, so everybody's familiar with the DuPont family? Mm-hmm. Okay. So you had the hemp farmers, and you can make rope, you can make paper out of hemp. Henry Ford made the first hemp car, fuel, roads, clothing, you name it. Well, the DuPonts came in, they started planting trees, and they're like, we're going to make paper. Well, it was in competition with the hemp farmers, so then what happened, they started to increase the taxes for the hemp farmers. They couldn't keep up, and so they categorized marijuana and hemp and said, you're illegal, and then we're criminalizing this. And it's even more like sort of, the more you dig in, a little bit more politically motivated, but then it became illegal. Hemp just became legal in 2018, so last December, the president signed the Farm Bill that it is now legal and that it shouldn't be criminalized or categorized as dangerous as heroin. Next slide. Okay, this is the difference. So if you came to this workshop thinking that this was a marijuana workshop, I'm sorry, we burst your bubble. We're not going to be doing that. Hemp versus marijuana. Darn, right?
I'm leaving.
Hemp grows really long. It's sort of like bamboo. It's from 10 to 12 feet high. It has a high concentration of CBD. So you guys are hearing CBD and you're seeing CBD everywhere, and everyone's like, oh, I'm selling CBD, like my gas station is selling CBD. Don't get your CBD from the gas station. We're going to talk about how dangerous that is. But everyone's just sort of jumping on the bandwagon. They're like, CBD, CBD, it's this buzzword. We're going to talk about why it's a buzzword and what you need to look for. But cannabidiol, which is CBD, is non-psychoactive, so you cannot get high from it. The hippies considered hemp to be the biggest disappointment. It was like the hippies' biggest disappointment in the 60s because they tried to smoke it and they weren't getting high, they weren't getting the effects. They're like, oh, this plant does nothing. But in actuality, it actually has more healing benefits. You can use it for fibers and textiles, as I said before, and it's known as the cannabis sativa plant. So then you have marijuana. Marijuana is short and bushy, it's about waist high, has a high concentration of THC, so it will get you high. And it's grown for its psychoactive effects and has no industrial application. Now you have a lot of companies that are sourcing. It does have CBD, but very low CBD, very high THC. So you have a lot of companies that are, because it's cheaper to grow marijuana, and so they're growing marijuana and they are extracting it and saying it's CBD when it really is high THC, low CBD. So, funny story, which is funny now, but it wasn't funny when it happened to me. My sister-in-law who lives in Massachusetts, again, another state where marijuana is legal, so she has lupus, she's had cancer, so she has a lot of medical issues, so she has a medical marijuana card. She claims that she's taking CBD. I was waiting for my shipment of CBD, and she gave me CBD for Christmas, and I was like, okay, well, I'm waiting for my shipment. Let me take her CBD. Well, I was in my car, and I was driving to work to a private, because I also teach yoga. And then all of a sudden, like, the music started to get really good, and I started to feel all funky. 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, wow, I feel like I can't feel my hand. What is this? And I'm like, what did you do this morning? And I'm trying to, like, replay, like, what I did all morning, and I was like, you took your CBD like you always do, then you had your coffee, and I was like, but you didn't take your regular CBD. So I had to pull over. I contacted my sister-in-law at 5 a.m. and I said, what was in that CBD? And she's like, oh, it's CBD, but it has a lot of THC. You can't really be out in public. I'm like, Carolyn, I'm gonna kill you. And get me in public. I have to go to work right now. So you have to be careful for that. If you're taking something like CBD that's claimed to be CBD and it's making you loopy, it probably has really high THC. So cannabidiol has 0.3%, which is less 3% of THC in some of their products, and we have products that don't have it. All right, cannabinoids. They're special compounds found in the hemp plant specifically. There's over 100 known cannabinoids. CBD is one of them. Nearly 400 other chemical compounds in cannabis that are common to all plants, in chlorophyll, terpenoids, flavonoids, and plant waxes. Cannabinoids and cannabinoid-like compounds are found in a handful of other plants too. So there's CBD in echinacea, flax, black pepper, kava, common tea, and hops. But it doesn't have a high concentration of it, but it's in those plants, so it's found in nature. Next slide. Keep going. There you go. Okay, this is what's important. So I have this, we can pass this around. My same sister-in-law that got me really high under CBD also has a laminating machine, which she made up for it by laminating this for me. All right, so this is going to break down, so these dots here. The blue dots are CB1 receptors, and then in this like light blue green are the CB2 receptors. So in 1940, the Endocannabinoid System was discovered. The guy that discovered it didn't know what he discovered. Later on in the 60s, another doctor, scientist discovered it. He said, oh, we have this endogenous system that works in conjunction to cannabidiol, and it adheres to these receptors. It wasn't until 1988, 1990, where Dr. Meshulam, who was from Israel, found and discovered the endogenous cannabinoid system and brought it to the public. Not enough. He's not doing enough effort with that, because I don't think a lot of people, we didn't learn about the endocannabinoid system in grade school. I didn't learn about this in college. And it's the largest self-regulating system in the body, which is sort of mind-blowing, because we have the endocrine system, we have our circulatory system, the digestive system, but here we have this endogenous system that a lot of people don't know about. How it works is, I'm going to break it down for you, and then we're going to go even deeper. CBD is a molecule. It's a molecule that binds to the receptors. That's why it's called the endogenous cannabinoid system. That plant specifically. So think about it. So I'm a very spiritual lady, but I'm like, yeah, God created this plant. God created this plant. It's perfect. Nature is perfect. If you look at nature, there's so much wisdom. That specific plant binds to these receptors to create homeostasis. So what does homeostasis mean? Anybody? Yeah, balance. It's about finding balance and wisdom in your body. So CBD is getting the rap, or like it's known as like the snake oil. Like, oh, I take CBD. It's not snake oil. And to sort of demystify things, it's just really a plant that works in conjunction to this system. CB1 receptors are found in your central nervous system in your brain. So you have issues like epilepsy, ADHD, depression, anything neurological. The CB1 receptors of the cannabinoids bind to those receptors. CB2 receptors are found in your peripheral organs, like your spleen. It has to do with immunity. So there's a rise of, probably noticed, right? Cancer and autoimmune. So I was talking about there was something going on with me earlier when I first came up here. Turned out that I had an autoimmune that I was ignoring, but I was having all the symptoms, and the doctor was like, I need you to get a handle on this. You're having all the symptoms, precursors to cancer. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, we need to get a handle on what's happening with you. So I also started to take CBD, and now my autoimmune is dormant. She can't even find my numbers. I'm feeling amazing. So that's how it works. It's an adaptogen, so it adapts to your body. So they're doing more and more research on like, well, how much CBD should this person take? How much CBD should that person take? Dorina was on a pharmaceutical grade of CBD, which was 120 milligrams per day. And she took that about twice a day because she was in crisis. So we're going to pass this around. You can go to the next slide. Any questions on that? Okay, next. Okay, this is one of my favorite quotes. Sorry. Okay, so the Endogenous Cannabinoid System. The discovery of the endocannabinoid system is the single most important, this is a cardiologist saying this, the single most important medical scientific discovery ever, and will save more lives than the discovery and application of sterile surgical technique. This blows my mind. I keep reading that, I keep reading that, I keep reading that, and this is a cardiac surgeon. He has done the research. He's also a cancer doctor now. If you watch, there's a lot of really amazing movies. Weed the People. Actually, Ricky Lake is the director. And also Illegal, which talks about kids that have epilepsy and how it's saving those children's lives. So, go back. Sorry. So who are we? So we're a subsidiary of Medical Marijuana Inc. Before, so like I said, CBD, even last year, I was like, no, you're not going to mail me marijuana. I'm so nervous. I don't want to get arrested. I want to show up my sister, but we're not going to do that. Medical Marijuana started this space. We're a subsidiary of Medical Marijuana Inc. So we are, it's a first publicly traded company, and they're the ones that created the space for CBD. So CBD and Medical Marijuana Inc. didn't exist before that. We'll go past the next two slides. Okay. Again, doing my research, so I'm trained by MDs, which I'm kind of a nerd, I'll admit it. My sister is like the cooler one. I'm a nerd. So I like to really, I like to dissect things. I need to learn more. I want to learn from doctors. I want to know the truth. And this was one of the discoveries that, again, sort of blew my mind. So THC, which is found in the cannabinoid plant, the U.S. government has known this since 1974. That's 45 years, because I'm 45 years old. In 1974, researchers learned that THC, the active chemical in marijuana, or cannabis plant, shrank or destroyed brain tumors in test mice. But the DEA quickly shut the study down and destroyed it. Its results, which were never replicated until February of 2000. I was like, what? This blows my mind. The term medical marijuana took on a dramatic new meaning in February of 2000 when researchers in Madrid announced they had destroyed incurable brain tumors in rats by injecting them with THC. So then this resurfaced again in Spain. The Madrid study marks only the second time that THC has been administered to tumor-bearing animals. The first was in Virginia, an investigation over 26 years ago. In both studies, the THC shrank or destroyed tumors in the majority of the test subjects. Most Americans don't know anything about the Madrid discovery. Virtually no major U.S. papers have published this, and which ran only on the AP and UPI news wires in February 2000. So it's one of those things that, you know, my sister got sick and it made me go, but why, right? Next. We also, so we're talking about kids with epilepsy. The pharmaceutical grade that we can get here over the counter, they're actually prescribed. to people who are very sick in Paraguay, Mexico, and Brazil. So doctors write our pharmaceutical grade. It's called the, you know how the gold applicator would be? Oh, you do? Here it is. So it comes in like a syringe. Who currently takes CBD now? Is anybody? Marianne. Okay. Does it, how does it taste? Okay, yours is peppermint? Okay. Peppermint? Peppermint? Both. Do you have like the,
Earthy.
do you have the earthy kind? So this is the reason what I'm saying. So well, we also have CBD samples. I wanted you guys to digest your food and we can sample those. And the samples I'm going to give you have the Balm Blend, which actually tastes good. If you're getting a full, here's a secret. If you're getting a full spectrum CBD, it's going to taste like dirt. Like dirt. And not good at all. It's going to kind of taste nasty. The gold, it comes out in like a paste. Doreen administers it on her finger. You can administer it in a capsule. She puts it underneath her tongue. You hold it for 60 to 90 seconds. It starts to, you can almost feel it working immediately.
I just put a video up on my social media doing it.
And it feels like, you know, sounds like, okay, great, I want to do that. But it feels like a burning sensation just for a moment until you ingest it, and then usually you feel the effects immediately. So we also have like, this is another, we have another applicator which is super earthy, and then this one is probably, this is what I take every day. It's disgusting. But I want to feel well. So what I do is I do this, and then I drink my orange juice, and I just call it a day, and I sort of suck it up. My biological father, who was a Marine in the Vietnam War, he's like, that stuff is just, it's too much. I was like, you're a Marine in the Vietnam War, just suck it up. He's like, I can't do it. So we have other options for babies like that can put a capsule. Okay, next slide. All right. So we hold the patent. One of the other things that CBD is great for is it's a neuroprotectant. So doctors are going to see in the future. So again, it's starting to surface. My father-in-law, who is like straight as an arrow, he's very English. So I'm a hugger, and my family's Latin, so I'm always like hug and kiss. So when I go in for a hug for him, I have to warn him. I say, hey Al, I'm going in for a hug, and he's like a robot. He's like tries to hug me. He doesn't. He's very skeptical about CBD. He has a lot of inflammation in his body, and we've been saying like, yeah, so you have major nerve pain in your back. Why don't you try it? He's like, no. I mean, he's been drunk once in his life. He's just not going to take CBD. It's not going to happen. He goes to his orthopedic surgeon this weekend, and he's like, Al, you need to take CBD. And I was like, yes. So you're going to start to hear more doctors saying that, because the doctors know, and if they're doing their research, they're like, it helps and it binds, it's science. So you have the molecule that binds to the receptors in the brain and the immune system. You can also have doctors who start prescribing this to children who play sports, because it's a neuroprotectant for the brain. Okay, so we're going to go through our products. This is one of my favorite. I love Albert Einstein. I said I'm a nerd. So we look deep into nature and you'll understand everything better. So Mary Ellen had a very good question before, right? She was asking about, well, how do I know if I'm taking the right CBD? What am I supposed to look for? So we're going to go through that because it's super important. Okay, so CBD is a bioaccumulator. Does anybody know what a bioaccumulator is? I told you, I'm like, does anyone know what a bioaccumulator is? Okay, I'll tell you what it is. It sucks out heavy metals and toxins. So it sucks out heavy metal toxins from your body. That's why it's great for your brain. And it's also like if we have toxic bodies, it pulls out all of that. It will do the same exact thing in the soil. So this is the way farmers used to clean their soil. They would plant hemp to clear the soil to irrigate it. The hemp pulls out all the heavy metals and toxins. But now what's happening is we have very toxic soil in the United States. It's just the truth. We have something called Monsanto and GMOs. We didn't used to have that. But you're seeing higher rates of diseases. Even within our, like, I try to buy mostly organic. Even within the organic food industry here in the U.S., you can have, like, Desiree Sparrow organic farm here. And then you can have a GMO farm here, like General Mills. It's something called the runoff. So if it rains, it's going to go into your organic farm. So Kashi cereal, which I do eat kashi cereal. If anybody else that does, like, I eat the kashi cereal that tastes like cardboard. I'm like, this is good. It's not good. They started pulling the kashi off the shelf because it was contaminated. And we started to scratch our head. We're like, but it says USDA organic. What's happening is the soil is getting contaminated. So it's really important if you're taking your CBD, and I was buying my CBD from like granola places. So I have family in California and Colorado, and I'm like, it's California, it's Colorado, they're good, they're legit, but they're still having the same problem. Hawaii, I have a lot of friends from Hawaii that's one of the biggest testing centers for Monsanto, and they're trying to protest, but Monsanto is in Hawaii now, so that soil is contaminated. So it's a big problem. So say I'm buying my CBD from this local farm, and like a small farm in Colorado, and I'm like, but it's organic, it's gonna be good. The soil, because CBD or hemp specifically, is a bioaccumulator, you have to be careful, because if that soil's contaminated, you're gonna ingest it. Next slide. Okay, so what makes us so unique? So we get our hemp from generational farms in Holland and Austria. Is anyone here from Europe? Okay, so does anybody know about the standards in Europe? Their food standards, their farming standards. No, they don't. They're like GM what?
Yeah.
They don't have GM. Their cosmetic industry. They banned over 1,300 ingredients because they were linked to cancers and disease. In the United States, we banned 11. And in some of those products are glyphosate. What's glyphosate? Trick question. Thank you. Yes, because you're seeing it all the way. Who said it? Yes, Roundup. It's a problem, right? So Roundup is saying no, there's no link to cancer, but they're just very conveniently like, there's no link, but you get $2 million. Just no link, but you get $2 million. But meanwhile, Europe has banned it. So we have those standards, and we get our hemp from, I like to think it's probably like, I can't wait to visit those farms. It's probably like The Sound of Music. It's Holland and Austria, and I'm going to definitely spin around. And they don't use pesticides, they don't use herbicides, they don't use any chemicals. It's banned in those countries. So we have those European standards, which for me, that's very important. And I'm a type A control freak sister. I'm like, what are you eating? You can't eat that. I'll just take it right away from them. Like, nope, you're not eating that. You're eating this, you're taking this. Okay, next slide. Okay, something you want to look for just as a consumer, triple lab testing. Our company started the standard, so now you're seeing more and more companies doing it, but our company, Canaway, the distributors of medical marijuana Inc., they started it. There was no such thing as triple lab testing. The standards are still like, in my opinion, they need to be better. New York is in the process, they're trying to pass a law where it's going to be illegal to even carry or sell CBD because there's a lot of weird stuff happening in New York. Has anybody been to New York City lately? Okay, thank you.
It's a CBD truck.
It's weird.
It's like Weed World or something.
Yes. I was really like, how is this legal? Did you ever see the girls come out of the truck?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
I'm like,
they hang out
yeah, but the music, this is not an exaggeration. This is being taped, and I have to do it. Okay. There are these marijuana trucks, right? And it has like Scooby Doo and all this stuff, and it's psychedelic. It looks like an ice cream truck. And then these girls come out of the truck with scantily dressed, with loud music, and they go, "Hey, honey, you want to get high?" I was like, "What is going on? This is a real thing. This is really happening." And they're on every corner. And again, I'm a nerd, but I'm like, how is this legal? What are they taking? So then I did an event with a small group of people. And one of the women in the event, she was a little skeptical about trying our CBD. And I said, why? She said, listen, last time I tried it, I was in the hospital. And I said, why? That doesn't make any sense. What happened? She said, I started to hallucinate. I couldn't feel my legs. I said, where did you get it? She's like, one of those trucks in the city. I was like, oh. So, but this is what's happening, and people are thinking, that's not legal. It's totally not legal. So New York's getting ready to pass a law, and I have to say that I am for that law. We have the DEA exclusion rights because we meet the standards. we need to have standards. Absolutely. So triple lab testing means you have to test the soil. That's number one. Then you have to, because something will happen is if you're planting hemp over here, and then say somebody's planting marijuana over here, cross-pollination, the hemp can actually mutate into marijuana. And it will do it as you're pulling it out. You're like, oh, it's hemp, and people think it's hemp, and it's not hemp, it's marijuana. So they need to test it, needs to test the soil, needs to test it as they're pulling it out. They need to test it as they bring it to the, so our headquarters are in San Diego, so they do that, Holland and Austria, then they test it, and then they test the batch again before it leaves. One of the coolest things that they rolled out, what is this code? It's a QV, I'm so old now.
QVC code.
It's a QVC code, right? I want to stay with the Home Shopping Network, that's where my brain goes. So you take a picture of that code, it will track the batch. When it went into the warehouse, when they manufactured it will track it, and when they shipped it to you. So you get to test the quality, which is, I like that stuff. I like to read like certificate of analysis and all that. So you want to look for something called triple lab testing. Next slide. Just in general, something called the certificate of analysis. You want to make sure that they have that. It's called the COA. This slide doesn't talk about it, but I'm just having like I want to tell you guys that. Certificate of analysis, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you look all the way down to the, you're not scientists, I understand that, but go all the way down to the bottom and make sure that they're actually testing for Salmonella, E. coli, arsenic, because when I first saw it, I was like, oh, it's legit. They have a certificate of analysis, pretending I knew what I was reading at first, and then the doctors are like, it's not legit, Desiree, let's actually look at this. But they conveniently put it on the bottom so that you don't really see, and it will say not tested. So that means that it didn't test for those things. So the chances of it being in there is, oh, it's questionable. Next slide. Okay, this is, can't see this, let me just move this a little bit. Because this is probably one of the most important things. All right, so back in January, they rolled out this report. They studied over 240 CBD products on the market. They rolled this out again, because I posted this again in May, and nothing changed. So what happened when they did this, they investigated, they're like, well, let's see what's in the CBD. More than 70% of the products on the market had high levels of glyphosate, that's Roundup, arsenic, other herbicides, including pesticides, lead and arsenic you do not want to ingest. There was a really reputable company. I'm not here to vet and like poo-poo on any company, so I'm not going to say their name, but it was an organic company that I used to buy products from. They started rolling out a CBD product. I was like, oh, they're probably good, they're legit. They were saying that, it's totally safe for nursing moms to use CBD, which is true, because women actually produce CBD in breast milk naturally. It's another cool fact. But if the mother is ingesting lead and giving it to a baby, that's when the problem is. So there's not enough testing, and so people need to do certificate of analysis and the triple lab testing. Then they started to do, let's see if they even have CBD in them. More than half of them had false or inconsistent labeling. So the laws, you can go to the next slide. Go to the next one. Okay, so the laws in the United States as far as labeling for foods and cosmetics, again, a sketchy thing. And I think things like, your family member's sick or you're sick, it makes you start to say, okay, let me start to look at things a little differently. Let me investigate. I have to, knowledge is power. So I started to do that. And one of the things I started looking at is the labeling standards. So we have something in the United States that you have to label what's in your products, unless, there's always an unless. It says proprietary blend. So you will see your products. I tore apart my medicine cabinets. I think probably everybody has a drawer of supplements that I don't ever take. It's all that supplements are in there. I pulled it out, and more than half of my products have this proprietary blend. Now in Europe, if you have a proprietary blend, you have to say, well, it's MTC oil, it's turmeric. You have to list it. In the United States, you don't. That's where you get away with, like, you don't have to tell the person what's in there. So this blew my mind because we have like Kraft macaroni and cheese, and you can see like all of these ingredients, and then in the UK, just a couple of ingredients. The same thing here with like Quaker oats. It's like whole grain oats, sugar, freeze-dried raspberry pieces, strawberry, and then natural flavoring. But there is it's sort of like haunting to me. And I was like, what? How is that legal? And then when I heard about the 1,300 chemicals that are banned in Europe and only 11 here, just made me scratch my head a bit. Go to the next slide. Okay. All natural, organic. I'm going to show you what to look for when you're looking for your CBD. There's a little symbol that you have to look for. It's federally legal, so what we're doing here today is legal. It's totally legal. The standardized testing, the triple lab testing. So those of you who are taking CBD or have taken CBD in the past, one of the things is that a lot of companies are watering down the CBD, so you think you're getting like 1,000 milligrams, but just be a little cautious if there's other essential oils or other products. The other thing that I didn't mention before is the extraction process. Does anybody know how CBD should be extracted? I like putting everybody on the spot. You're like, no, lady, I'm learning about CBD today. Does anybody know how CBD should be extracted? Okay, I'm going to show you. I'll tell you what it should not be extracted with ethanol. You guys should not be ingesting ethanol. It should not be extracted with butane, moonshine, antifreeze, all of these things, because to extract the CBD molecule, you need a machine that's $250,000. So I was like, I'm a business person. I was like, oh, this is great. I'm gonna then it's gonna be legal. I'm gonna go. I have like these crazy ideas. Oh my God, I'm gonna grow my own hemp. I'm gonna have my own CBD. And then I was like, the machine's $250,000. Maybe not. So the little farmers can't keep up with that. So how are they extracting? They're using antifreeze. They're using butane. They're using ethanol. They're even using moonshine. Then people are ingesting it. It's highly toxic. So you have a plant that's perfect, but then what happens is when you incorporate these other things, it becomes highly toxic, and then it's counterintuitive. I myself had to learn the hard way because I was going to my health food store buying lots and lots of CBD. I was buying like a 1 ounce bottle. It was working at first, but I had to keep buying more and more and more. So the price point is what you need to look for. So if you're buying like a 2 ounce or like a 1 ounce bottle, these are 1 ounces, and you're spending like $90 on this, you're getting ripped off. You need essentially 4 to get the right amount, which would be like a 4 ounce bottle. So this 4 ounce bottle is $152, which sounds like a lot, but if you break it down, it's 10 cents per milligram, and you're getting pure CBD, and it's not diluted with other chemicals. You don't really need to put, like, I know that we like things that taste good, but I also am like, just give it to me. And I'm going to take it. I want my pure CBD. I want the full spectrum. I don't need the other flavorings. Just take it how you're supposed to take it, which is in that pure form. Dr. Titus, who's our CEO, was the first person in the world, even nerdier than me. He figured out how to extract the CBD molecule. First person in the world. Long Island guy with Lyme's disease. Was golfing in North Carolina, got Lyme's disease, wheelchair bound, was dying, and was like, I'm a doctor, and how ironic, I'm gonna die, this is gonna kill me. He then decided to move to California, where he started to research medical marijuana. He learned about, he's like, how come nobody's talking about this endocannabinoid system? How did everybody start talking about CBD? He figured out how to isolate it the proper way. They got that first machine, that CO2 extraction, and then that's how CBD started to hit the market. But you have to be very careful. So, there might be, like, I support local farmers, I'm part of an organic farm, but they don't have the machine to do it properly, and they're just trying to do what they need to do to cut corners to make it happen to extract the CBD. So we have all different products. Okay, this is what I need you guys to look for. It's called the Hemp Authority Certified. It's orange. Remember back in the day when organic was really, it hit the market, and I was like a new mom, my son will be 20 next month, and I was a psychopath. And I was like, you can only have these specific diapers. You can only do this. You couldn't even play with plastic toys. My parents were like, okay, you played with plastic toys, you were fine. I said, but this is what I believe in. So everyone was putting organic on their labels, but it wasn't really organic until we had to look for like that non-GMO symbol or the USDA organic. So this is what I want you guys to look for. It needs to say U.S. Hemp Authority. There's only 13 companies in the world that are Hemp Authority certified. In the entire world, only 13. So the guy at the gas station, hate to say, I like my gas station guy, but he's not selling like pure CBD. I'm not going to buy it from him. Next slide. Okay, this is another cool thing. This is the only CBD on the market in the world that's on the PDR. So doctors can recommend and essentially prescribe it. So it used to be called, the physician's desk reference. Now it's called the prescriber's digital reference because we're all online and it's digital. But it's the only one in the world that's on the PDR that doctors recommend. It's a full spectrum product. I also take this one every day. This is it. This one doesn't taste as nasty either. I kind of like it. It's like a gold. As we're talking about that, if you guys want to try CBD, so we have AM and PM blend. Here we go. And then we have salve. So the AM, this has a bee balm blend. So we're New Yorkers, right? Is anyone not originally from New York? Trying to figure out. Okay, so New Yorkers, we want it like now. I'm like, it's not happening fast enough, so I'll give somebody something new. Like, I don't feel anything, this doesn't work. And I'm like, okay, you just took it like 2 minutes ago. So what I like about this is like the New Yorker product because it's fast acting. Because they have a bee balm blend, which is a Chinese herb that was developed, it's an ancient Korean herb, actually not Chinese, and in conjunction with CBD, those two molecules work together, or two herbs work together, it makes it happen really quickly. So I take the PM blend to go to sleep, or because I'm a New Yorker, born and raised, I was actually born in Hackensack, raised in New York. New Yorkers just have a quicker pulse, right? We're just like intense. That's just me, I'm intense. So I can take the PM blend and just be chill. It's not gonna make you fall asleep. So how you would take it if you wanna try it, is anybody getting drug tested in this room? Okay, you are. Okay, so you wouldn't take it, you would take we don't have it. Is it full reader? You would take something like this, it's called the isolate, which is for if you have to get drug tested. Everyone else, if you want to try it, it's like a syrup. You're gonna lean your head back. You try to put it underneath your tongue, and you hold it for 60 to 90 seconds. You can just try it. The full dosage, if you're like, I'm going for the full dose, 9 pumps underneath your tongue.
Small.
It's small because it comes out like a syrup. I have to wheelchair you out. No. So 9 pumps under your tongue if you want to take the full. Otherwise, you could just sort of try it. So Doreen and I are going to pass these around. If you're like, I'm good, I pass, then you can pass.
Yes.
Bee balm. Yeah.
Say it again,
I had to switch on colleges because I can't drop myself. Chemo. Cancer, so July 31st.
Okay.
No, you're fine with that. So if you're, also one of the other questions, I also have this if you guys want to try. This is our MacGyver product. So, do you guys remember my big factory wedding with the Windex? That's this for me. The salve has CBD. It has CBD. If you have a nut allergy, don't use this. Anybody have a nut allergy? Okay, go. So you can use the Q-tip. If you have any achy areas, just go to town. Put it on the achy areas. You can put this on babies' teething gums. You can put this on if you have arthritis. I love watching the results of this because I just did a yoga workshop yesterday. The entire class had aches and pains, and afterwards they're like, what is that magic?
I do it in my classes too.
Because, again, I don't think anybody likes to be in pain or uncomfortable. So we want something that's going to alleviate the pain. So you can also use it for skin conditions. I had a very good friend of mine who I'm going to talk about at stage 4 breast cancer. She does have stage 4 breast cancer. She, from the chemo, her skin started to peel and it was raw. We put this on her skin, the next day her skin was perfect. So we can pass this around too if you have any achy areas. Okay, so as I'm going to go through these, if anyone has any questions, just please raise your hand. So these are our full spectrum products.
What would you take the full spectrum for?
I say my first go-to is like I think everybody should be on a full spectrum. You want to treat CBD, who takes vitamin D? Yay! Take vitamin D. Vitamin D is so great for you. So I'm not going to take my vitamin D one day and be like, yeah, I'm good, I don't have to take vitamin D anymore, right? So I had that was one of the precursors when I was getting sick. They're like, your vitamin D is super low. I was living in Costa Rica, it was super high. But I came here in the dead of winter, it dropped, and I started to have all these issues. So the full spectrum is going to have the full plant in it. It's going to have the stalk, it's going to have the flavonoids, it's going to have the terpenoids. And we should be taking CBD or treating it like a supplement. So I take it, I don't miss a dose. I take it at least twice a day. If I'm having a bad day or flare-up, I take it 3 times a day. Average adult should be getting about 50 milligrams of CBD a day, 50 milligrams. Some of us think, I had a phone call with somebody, I said, how much CBD do you take a day? She said 10,000 milligrams. I said, no you don't. She goes, yes I do. I said, we give CBD to horses. A horse doesn't even take 10,000 milligrams. It takes maybe 60 milligrams. It takes just a little bit more to kick in that endocannabinoid system. The gold applicators, if you have chronic issues, cancers, autoimmune, you're in crisis, people that have issues with their bones, highest concentration of CBD on the market, only pharmaceutical grade CBD on the market. There's a lot of companies that are saying that, and I'm like, that's not true. Is it being prescribed as medication in other countries? They're like, well, no. I'm like, it's not, because it's not true. So this is the gold. It's 120 milligrams per serving. Dorina is probably taking about 240 milligrams. The premium is the step down from there. The gold is for maintenance. You could just take this for inflammation. And then the premium, this is our dirt one, but it's good. It has, these all have the legal limit of THC, so you wouldn't take any of these. And then,
I'm sorry, what did you just say? I could take them?
no, I'm going to show you the ones that you can. Because it has it's less than the, it's 0.3% of THC, which is like -3 really. And then you have the capsules. So if you have people that just are like, I can't do the oil, I'm gagging, they take the capsules. You can use CBD in conjunction with your medication. There are virtually no side effects. The only side effects would be like, because I also coach people like how much they take, I'll muscle test them, I kind of shadow them, they'll text me and I say, okay, you're taking too much, I want you to increase it, or maybe you're on the wrong oil. So I do have people that are sensitive to THC, completely sensitive.
What is the one that we just took? Which one of these?
This is, we're going there now. All right, for you in the back, what's your name? Ruth Ann. Ruth Ann or anybody else that has a sensitivity to THC, these are our pure products. The anti-doping standards, it means there's no THC in there. It's in the capsules. My son, who's on the autism spectrum, he takes these. He's been on these now for a couple of months. He's doing phenomenal. He takes it in conjunction with his other medications. But my mother-in-law had called me the other day, she picked him up from work. And she's like, oh, I just want to talk to you about Mike. And like, I'm always like, oh no, what happened? And my stomach just sort of drops. And she said, no, it's good. Are you giving him something? And I was like, oh no, she's hypercritical. She's gonna be like, why are you giving him CBD? I'm like, oh, why do you ask? I say. And she said, this is the first time ever he's initiated conversation with me. Ever. And I was like, really? She said, yeah. She's like, he was asking me all these questions. He doesn't do that. My kid is kind of mechanical. He's been diagnosed since the age of 3. He'll say, hey, how was your day? But he doesn't really care how your day is. It's part of his autism. He wants to care, it just doesn't have the capacity. The other night I was at dinner, And we're talking, and he was like, wait, what are you guys talking about? Like, you're being kind of rude. But I've been so used to, like, he doesn't care what I talk about. So it is, for him, it's working neurologically. What I love about CBD is it works differently for, like, Dorina. It went right to the source of where the disease was, and to create that homeostasis for her, to bring her back into that wisdom. And for me, it went right to my spleen, because I was having autoimmune stuff and issues with my spleen, and also in my gut, because I was allergic to everything under the sun, sesame seeds, you name it. I was allergic to margaritas, which I was like, I can't be allergic to margaritas. It's the end of the world. But once I started to find that homeostasis, I didn't have that acidity in my body. So it's an adaptogen, so it goes to where it needs to. Okay, next one. Okay, these are the Balm Blends. So this is Dr. Janelle Kin. She's an Oriental medicine doctor. And so she passed down these formulas through centuries. So it's like her great-great-grandmother's this formula, the Balm Blend. And these are fast-acting CBD. So some of you might have taken it and you might be like, I feel a little relaxed if you've taken the full dose. The other thing is it tastes kind of good. If you have trouble with sleeping, there are people that don't sleep at all, and now they're getting good solid 8-9 hours of sleep. You have the AM blend, which we say is for monkey mind. So that's like squirrel syndrome. So I could be like I'm here and I'm like, oh, but look at that colors. Like that. Squirrel. Then you lost me and I'm like, wait, what was I talking about? So the AM blend helps to bring me into that quiet state. And the Revive Pro is just a combination of those.
Can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
What is the advantage then of taking the one with the THC over the other one?
That's a great question. Okay, so what they discovered was that actually the molecule of THC, the chemical of THC, works synergistically in your body. So what happens is it actually helps to rev up that homeostasis, and it makes the CBD more potent and powerful.
It works faster.
Almost like vitamin D with calcium.
Exactly. Yeah, it just like, it's the full spectrum. But because some people have sensitivity. My son, because he has neurological stuff, on THC, I gave him the premium. I said, just try one, just let me know. And he texted me and he's like, Mom, I can't take that. I feel so weird. My kid, very lucky, doesn't drink, doesn't do drugs. And he was like, are you trying to give me marijuana? I was like, what do you guys think I am? No. A, and then B, he was just having a sensitivity. He said, okay, let's try something else. And he does better on the pure. So research, Dr. Titus is talking about rolling out research where we're going to do blood tests, where we're going to genetically figure out why you might need this dosage or that particular CBD. Maybe I need more, you need less. It doesn't really, I was like, okay, maybe it's the size. I can have a guy 2 to 3 times the size of me take like half the CBD and be like this. It's genetics. Dorina and I take a lot of CBD. I think we're more prone to being acidic. So we have that, so we take that to create that alkaline state. And we know that cancers and disease, they can't live in an alkaline state. They can't live in an alkaline body. I mean an alkaline body, but when we're highly acidic, that's just sort of the breeding ground. And stress is one of those things. So one of the things that CBD helps me with is managing my stress. So I can still be productive, but it gives me a state of this, because I was in the trauma state of like, oh my God, everyone's sick, everyone's dying, everyone's sick, everyone's dying, and that constant stress. So the salve, which you guys tried, we also have this amazing skincare line, which the skin is the largest organ, and we were talking about cosmetics and stuff. I started to freak out about that and started to just put like coconut oil on my face, and I'm like, I don't trust anything anymore. But they rolled out a whole line that has, it's called Cannabis Beauty, and then essential oils as well. Okay, we also have like protein powders, super greens. Like I said, I was having extreme digestive issues to the point where it felt like, the best way I could describe it, it felt like I was internally bleeding. And I would just be at lunch, and I'd be, excuse me, I'll be right back after the bathroom, and I would vomit, and then come back, and then like just kind of pick around my food, because I could not eat anything. And I was just at one point, I was just eating like kale, and that was even shredding my stomach apart. And my integrative medicine doctor, she was the one that said, Desiree, you we're doing everything. You're taking 30 supplements a day. You're vegan. We're doing this. We're doing that. And she's like, and I said, yeah, and I still feel like crap. Like, what's going on? And that's when she said, I want you to try CBD. And I was like, and there's that word again. But I said, well, what kind? She goes, I don't know, but you'll do your research. You're a smart girl. And I was like, what? So she kind of was like, go away, and then you let me know what you come back with. And so I made a lot of mistakes, but then I finally found this company, and I kind of lean more towards the stuff that my sister was taking, because it's pure, it's pharmaceutical grade, it's backed by science. So the other things that we have that are a little bit more socially acceptable are the gum, which I love, the coffee, which I really love. I hide the coffee in my house, it's a true story, and the rooibos tea. Okay, the reason why gum in particular, and it actually, people are like, why do I want to eat like a dirt gum? It doesn't taste like dirt. It's a cool mint gum. It's actually delicious, and it lasts for hours. So anybody that's a gum chewer, it's great for your digestion. But the other cool thing is, anytime we take any medications or supplements, it has to pass through your organs. And by the time it moves through your digestive tract and your organ, it loses the potency. Anything that we take. Even when you're holding in your tongue for 60 to, you should be holding it when you're doing your oils, 60 to 90 seconds, let it just kind of, this is where digestion starts so that we can absorb it in the bloodstream before we digest it. But gum doesn't have to go through that process, you're just getting it right into the bloodstream. Also, vaping, which I'm not an advocate. She pulled out her papers like a magician.
I knew she was going to talk about it. I'm really good. I'm on point lately.
So you're on
really,
point.
I'm really on point.
So the vaping, so I'm not an advocate for the typical vaping, and this is how I know, like I work at the college, so this is how I know I'm getting old. I'm like, the kids these days, they're vaping. Now, it's terrible for them, right? Because they have all the chemicals in there. But if you're actually vaping CBD and just a coconut oil, what happens is you're bringing it into your bloodstream so it doesn't have to move through your internal organs. There's no THC in that vape. You'll have to ask the ladies. They're pretty like liberal here if you can use the vape, which we'll see. I don't know if they're going to allow that. But it's just going to add like a little puff cloud. It really helps for anxiety. It helps for pain. They're doing extensive research that one of the things for autoimmune, I started to develop adult asthma. And then I was like, I don't believe it. I'm like, I don't have asthma, but then I'm in the doctor's office, can't breathe. The vape in particular is great for asthmatics, and they're actually prescribing it now for lung cancer patients. If it's just pure CBD and coconut, you gotta be very clear. So you can't go like and do a jewel with all this other chemicals, which is that's not great for you. But if it's just a pure CBD oil with an MTC or a coconut oil, it's completely safe and actually very beneficial. So we have the gum, we have the coffee, which is actually really delicious. It fits in a Keurig. The pods are biodegradable. Okay, next slide. And then, I don't know who has animals. They're like our other children, right? So they also have an endocannabinoid system. All mammals do. Every mammal has an endocannabinoid system. So I have 3 rescues. One's blind, one's deaf, and one's just like whacked out of her mind. So they take a lot of CBD, and it's the oil, which is the pure oil, which is actually the same exact thing as this oil. So you could actually share it with your pets. Then we have the dog treats, which are humans can consume them. I don't consume them because they're dog treats. They have bacon in them as well, but we will have like sometimes one of my friends, she's like, you can eat them, and she starts eating them, and I'm like, they're not great tasting, but your dogs will like it. We also have cat treats. And one of the other things is we have like our toys. Like my dogs have toys. I grew up, my dogs didn't have toys. They would give them a bone or something like that. But now our dogs are like, they have fancy beds, and my dogs have sweaters, and they have toys. But the toys that we're giving them are synthetic. The other thing is that my animals growing up, we grew up with Great Danes, we always had animals in the house. None of them ever got cancer, but all of my animals, I have one right now, we have to bring her to the vet. I'm just like, I'm looking at this tumor, and I'm like, she's acting off. Each one of them keeps dying because they're getting cancers. So, this is important for them. And the other thing is, if they ingest this, it just goes right through their digestive tract, and they're not gonna get sick. They just kind of pass it through because it's a natural fiber system. And then the clothing. So I'm a shopaholic, and I love Marshalls. I know Marianne loves Marshalls too. And Target. And I always, I'm like, I'm just going in for this. I just have to get like shampoo, and then like I just like conveniently go into the area that has clothing, and then I walk out of Marshalls and I have like $500 worth of stuff that I don't need. The problem with that is they don't make clothing the way they used to. So I remember when I was a kid, we grew up here in Islip on Monell Avenue, and my mom would I would want a shirt, and it would be it was like over $40, and I need that shirt. She's like, okay, but you're only getting 2 things, this is what you're gonna get for school shopping. And we have that shirt for years, because it was different quality. We are rolling out these superstores, so we're making it's disposable clothing. It doesn't last as long. It winds up in our landfills. It's problematic. Hemp, on the other hand, we got the guy who creates yoga pants and jeans, and it's a sustainable product, so it's not going to have an impact on the planet. So these are the other things I'm like, oh, there's all these contributing factors. The other scary thing is like with our synthetic clothing, yoga pants, etc., that are made of synthetic fibers, when we're washing them, there's little plastics in the clothing, and they wind up in the ocean, and the fish eat them. They think it's plankton. We eat the fish, the cycle starts again, right? So this is just another way of sort of sustaining that. Has anybody had the runner's high before? Does it happen all the time?
Not lately.
Not lately, yeah.
No, I actually had to stop.
Yeah.
Everything hurts.
Yeah. We're going to talk about that. You've had the rose.
All the time.
No. Okay. But it's rare. Those of you, show of hands, who've had the runner's high again. There's a small percentage of you like, what's a runner's high, right? Okay. So we have something called the anandamide. Anandamide it's a bliss molecule. It's when we're feeling ecstatic, we're feeling blissful. It's released actually during an orgasm, when we fall in love, and then when you're getting that runner's high. It's like endorphins that kick in. The problem is that when we're imbalanced, it doesn't last. So CBD, what it does is it makes the runner's high last longer. So it lingers in your brain. It also not tricks the system, but it binds to those molecules that reduces pain, that brings that. She was just saying, I haven't had it, I'm in so much pain. So what it does is it helps to reduce that pain so that you can continue to move on and on and on. So I did on Thursday, I did a spin class and a sculpting class, 2 in a row. I'm gonna be 45 this year, and then I was like, I'm gonna do 2 more. And I was like, what's wrong with you? But I just really felt energetic, where in my 20s, when I would do that, I would kind of go full throttle and then go home and go to sleep, or just pig out. But that's not happening anymore, and it's because the chemical, the bliss molecule, helps to linger a little bit longer, so you have more stamina, but it also helps reduce inflammation and pain. So this is a family obligation. It's a family obligation. So the more people I can inform about this plant and all of its benefits, I think we do our job in that way, and we continue to spread that out. So I do have, I don't know if anybody has any other questions, but we do have handouts. You can continue to sample the CBD. We have the vapes, we have the gum. There's understanding the endocannabinoid system, some more literature on the CO2 extraction, etc. But I want to thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.